Hello and welcome back to Really Good Appears. My name is Gary O'Brien. This is where I get some of my very good friends on to chat about and discuss all kinds of movies. And joining me today, once again, it's Lili Nolan, and she's here to talk about the 2021 Disney origin movie, Cruella. So stick around. We hope you enjoy.
That's me dancing to the music that's being played for the listener.
It's why we got to get these things on Zoom so people can see all the dance moves.
I know. Yeah, like I didn't set up my room and pay all this money to make it look nice for no one to see it. Oh, God.
I know, but like, sure, look, but to tell you what was spent a lot of money on to look nice, the 2021 Disney origin movie, Cruella.
Oh my God, I never would have guessed. That's not true. I would have absolutely guessed. I think the soundtrack cost them a fortune alone.
I recommend for anyone that hasn't seen it. First of all, hello, welcome to the podcast. Second of all, I will say for anyone that hasn't seen this, or like, you know, before you go see it. Actually, if you're thinking about go and see it, don't look at the soundtrack because you'll be just simply surprised with how much good music is in this. Like, you know the way like Guardians of the Galaxy had like some really good songs that like tied into everything quite nicely. They were pretty much like, Cruella's walking down the street. How much is it for a Rolling Stones song that we can put in here?
Yeah, the soundtrack was unbelievable. I think as well, like the era it's set in, the kind of 70s lends itself to that. Like it was an era of excellent music.
Yeah, very true.
So Cruella had it easy there, you know? Right exactly. Decade for excellent music. Gary, I guess we should start. Did you enjoy this film?
I'm conflicted because we actually got to go see it in person. So, like,
we did.
Did I just enjoy being back in the cinema again, or did I enjoy the 2021 Disney Origins film, Cruella?
That's how I feel when I saw Wonder Woman. I was 1984, you know, Wonder Woman 2. When we saw that at Christmas, I was like, oh my God, this is so good. I'm so happy to be back in the cinema. We did that podcast like 2 weeks later. I was like, that was a terrible film.
It wasn't terrible.
It wasn't terrible. Good.
It wasn't the best. Look, if you want to immediately listen to us contradict ourselves, you can go back and listen to the Wonder Woman 1984 episode at Christmas.
I can't even listen to it because I'm like, I disagree with myself so much. But yeah, Cruella was good, but like you said, I'm not sure if I'm looking at it like, I'm worried that I'm going to regret what I say in 30 seconds after the podcast has ended.
That's the thing. It's the joy. It's the time capsule of us. Whatever, how many days? We saw this on Sunday. Today is Tuesday, so like it's 2 days. We had 2 days to sink in. So I guess for anyone that actually doesn't really know what this movie is about, even though you'd like to think the name Cruella would give a hint, do you care to tell what is this movie about? What is the brief overview, non-spoilers?
Okay, brief overview, non-spoilers. So most people are aware of 101 Dalmatians, the one of the Disney classics. The sort of villain in it's Cruella de Vil. This is like pitched as an villain origin story for her, but like in that kind of new Disney villain origin story style, like Maleficent and stuff, where it's like, oh, villains are just kind of misunderstood. So she's the main character and there is another villain in this. Like she's not the bad guy. And we're kind of just like learning about her life from being quite young and her signature hair that she's born with and how she kind of becomes, I'd say not the character, she doesn't become the character we're familiar with. She becomes Cruella, but not as we know her. I guess that's a good way to say it without too many spoilers and too many of my other opinions I'm going to say for later on in the podcast. I mean, there's so many bits about it that I did love. I love the characters. I think they all gave great performances. Like we were talking about the music, but the costumes are unbelievable. Yeah. It's good fun. There was a dog called Buddy in it, modeled after my own dog, I can only assume.
In name alone, not like a body double. The dog was called Buddy, and Lili lost her shit within the first 5 minutes of this movie.
I could like see you beside me going, oh yeah, there we go.
But it because of the movie, it is like you didn't know if the dog was gonna die.
I was so tense. It
led to 2 hours and 15 minutes of sheer tension to know whether this dog called Buddy would die, and Lili would just burst into tears.
It would have happened. There were some tense moments for Buddy, and I was scared. I was more scared for that dog in this movie than I was for anyone in A Quiet Place 2. Podcastception for you there.
But yeah, so like I agree. I thought the performances were fantastic. A lot of people, like, again, maybe in terms of some of the writing and the story bits aren't great, but the performances kind of carry that quite a lot. Specifically, like the two Emmas, Emma Stone and Emma Thompson, are fantastic. The lad who plays Jasper, which is Joel Fry, have it here. Also Paul Walter Hauser as Horace is great. There's just too many to name. They're all very good in it. CGI dogs, they're even pretty decent in it. Their performances.
Just use a real dog.
See, this is my thing. They didn't have enough money to train real dogs because they spent like millions on soundtrack and costumes.
But also, like, when you get dogs for movies, they're trained to just like do whatever the trainer is telling them. It's not like they had to be like, let us find this dog from the street and train him from a pup. That's not how that works. They
so
could
much
have had
easier,
some real
though.
dogs.
It's so much easier.
Although the dogs were
understand.
doing non-real dog things, so I understand that.
They were just like very well. Were they? They were like fetching things.
There's a lot of stunts involving the dogs. If you think of like the dogs crash a few parties for the unaware listener, so all those kind of dog-esque stunts might have been very dangerous to do with live animals.
And I can confirm, like, it actually is a too dog like heavy movie. Like, even though it's based in the franchise 101 Dalmatians, I definitely don't think there was a 101 Dalmatians. I'm gonna say max 12 dogs, perhaps. I'd say
there's only
I'm talking background shots.
Okay, well, if we're talking background shots, it extends the universe of dogs. I'd say there's like 5 main dogs. Yeah. 5. I have a theory about some of the dogs. I think I have a theory about these Dalmatians. I think because we meet the Dalmatians early in the movie. These 3 Dalmatians that the Emma Thompson's character actually owns, and young Emma Stone, who's played by someone else, encounters them, and then later on, Emma Stone, it's like 10 plus years later, is that what it is? 10 years later?
Yeah, because I laughed out loud. I was like, there's no way that child is Emma Stone 10 years previous.
But also, there's no way those dogs,
Emma Stone.
No way those are the same dogs. 10 years?
Oh, because they'd be
What's
dead.
What's the average lifespan of a dog? How old do you think were they puppies? Were they puppies in the beginning of the movie?
First of all, asking the wrong guy. Second of all, knowing the Baroness, she probably just like gets new dogs whenever they get old anyway.
Yeah. And based on something else that happens with the dogs later on in the movie, I'm like, these aren't old dogs, so different dogs.
Oh, but also, not only is your love of dogs represented in this movie, but my love of the Tottenham Hotspurs is represented in this movie as well. Oh my god, what a movie built for Gary and Lili, if I do say so myself.
It was a good moment. I'm glad that, the movie gave each of us little wins in its own way.
They were like evil dogs that were fan of Tottenham Hotspurs, and I was like, look, we're the
really
worst type of fan.
Yeah. You really started to empathize with the villains in this movie.
Oh, big time. But yeah, like I think
tolerated a dog.
No, almost just un petit. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get into spoilers, and then after that I'll talk a bit about like the behind the scenes and some of the trivia, and then just some of our overall thoughts. But before we do, for anyone that's a bit on the fence about whether to see Cruella in cinemas, what would be your recommendation? We didn't think of a snazzy line for that, but what would be your recommendation?
Yeah, I'd go see it. I mean, why not? There's other stuff out there that's absolutely worse. There's probably some stuff that's a little bit better, like A Quiet Place 2, and some of the Oscar ones are coming to the cinema. But like, if you want to just have a bit of fun, go for some of that classic Disney, big budget, like really enjoyable to watch, really good performances. Go watch it. It's a romp. It's a visual romp.
Well, see, my thing would be like, if you have Disney Plus, there's no rush. Like, this is coming out in August on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I'd say wait for it to come home. Wait for it to, like, come out on that. But, like, it is... I enjoyed it. It wasn't too long. The music kept me going. The performances were great. And, like, some of the story bits are weird. But, like, hey, the cinemas, why not? Like, what are you going to go see?
Yeah.
You're gonna see In the Heights? Huh? That's a long movie with a lot of more singing of a lot worse songs. I'm gonna, in case I do a podcast on it, I'm not gonna give away all my thoughts of In the Heights.
Keep your thoughts on In the Heights secret and safe. I think yes, exactly. You're right. I mean, if it's like, are you gonna pay to go see it in the cinema versus are you gonna watch it for free on Disney Plus, or whatever? I don't know, pay for it on whatever other streaming thing you like to watch. We don't play favorites. then yeah, maybe that's a better option. But if you like going to the cinema and you're like, I want to go to the cinema and have a fun cinema experience, definitely a good one to go for.
If you like dogs and Tottenham Hotspurs, this is the movie for you. But also,
if you like fashion, this is the movie for you.
Oh yeah, see, this is why we were missing our third friend who loves fashion, who I can't think of at the moment.
I know, I was gonna be like, David? I don't know.
Have you ever seen David's Gucci shoes? He's a big fan of Versace. More names.
He just goes running all the time in all these like full designer outfits.
Yeah, he's a madman. But also I was gonna say as well, this movie, without giving too much away, kind of like leans and sets up a sequel that I think is going to be very interesting if they ever do it. So
no,
it's
they're
probably
doing
a good idea.
It. Did you not? They're talking about doing it.
They're talking. It's the same way they're talking. They've been talking about the Aladdin sequel for the last year, and nothing has come up. They have writers. They have nothing else. But yeah, if a sequel comes out, you're gonna want to see this movie because I'd say they'll be able to build upon so much that was done in this movie. So I know. So this is a bit of a weak promise. Go watch this one because there might be another one coming out in like 5 years' time.
I think maybe that's some of the stuff that's almost kind of encapsulates where this movie falls down, in that there's some parts of the plot are obviously set up and they're not, you don't get like the payoff for them, but they are trying to set it up for a sequel, so hopefully a sequel would give you kind of some of that payoff.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we gonna,
right,
can I spoil it?
Yeah, let's get the spoilers. If you're still here and you haven't seen it, watch out, spoilers. And go
spoilers,
check out that.
Look out!
Look at it. Spooky, scary spoilers. That's a good segment name. I'm gonna write that down somewhere.
They're giving me the heebie-jeebies.
I'm so scared. I'm so spooked. Okay, that is written down, and I could have done that in the post. But what else was I gonna say? Yes, go check out the soundtrack. It's fantastic. But oh my god, I'm so scared. I'm so spooked. It's spooky, scary spoilers, Lily.
Okay, spooky, scary spoilers. Maybe we could talk about this because it happened. I'm going to spoil the way her mom dies, Gary. I'm going to spoil it so bad.
Right into it.
Well, it happens early enough in the movie that we almost could have spoiled it in the non-spoiler section, but I think that we saved it for the...
Let people go
so
completely blind.
Cruella, with her weird hair that she is born with, by the way, the black and white, she's born with that. They could have chosen a birthmark. They didn't. Anyway... she and her mom are doing stuff after she gets in trouble in school. They're on their way to London. They stop off at this unbelievably gorgeous party. Like, oh my god, I wanted to see more of that scene, by the way, this party in this mansion.
You mean the set of Bridgerton?
Yeah, pretty much. They just walk around the set of Bridgerton and we're like, just hang around for an extra 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah. And then the CGI dogs cause some havoc. She's outside with her CGI buddy. Moment one of terror for Lili as the Dalmatians are going to attack Buddy. And I mean, there's a child there as well, but Buddy. And then they jump over her and run her mother off a cliff. Off a cliff!
Yeah.
Dalmatians.
Classic Disney.
Classic Disney, yeah.
So I, my one of my favorite YouTubers is our Lord and Savior Grace Randolph, and I was watching what she had to say about this movie and trying not to let it influence me too much. But one of the more interesting things that she presented about this movie was that Cruella is now a Disney princess. Because, so again, spoilers, abandoned as a child, dead surrogate mother. Villain responsible for all of her problems. Mysterious object reveals all. Orphan to royalty, albeit fashion royalty. And then amazing gowns. She's a Disney princess.
Oh, yeah, she is pretty much a Disney princess. Every Disney movie is somehow a Disney princess movie if you try hard enough.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, and then she runs off and becomes a street urchin and meets these little boys who are also street urchins from Oliver, but in the 1970s, and they... form a cool gang in an abandoned house.
Yeah, and what did you think of? Because something this movie, I don't know, I can't remember the other ones, but like in the other ones, the Horace and Jasper are presented very much as the henchmen, whereas in this, like they're all like a family, and then you kind of see elements in the movie where it looks as if she's gonna, take that position of leader, and the two of them would be henchmen, but then it kind of moves away from that. So. Yeah. What did you think of that?
Aren't they? In the other ones, they're very they're that classic Disney bad guy henchman where they're bumbling and kind of buffoons and bad at their job, but they're not really in this one. Even like Horace, is more of the comedic relief one of the two, he's still like really good at what he's doing and isn't like crashing into things and doing stuff like that, like they are in the other movies. Yeah, I like that's sorry, this is part of my theory as to why I think if you'll enjoy this more if you don't go to watch it to be like, I'm going to learn exactly how Glenn Close's Cruella became Cruella. Like, it's not, it's the same character, it's a different universe. That character is like, I don't even know how this version of Cruella could ever extend to do the kind of the Glenn Close things. So just don't think of it like that. Similar character, origin story, just like the Maleficent movies, like they are changing the original plot. It's not like the Disney extended universe. They're just extending a character that they have. And then it kind of makes sense, and it's nice to see them do different things with the other characters, like Horace and Jasper.
Yeah, and did you also get the vibes that Jasper and Cruella were like, had the hots for each other?
Yeah, a bit of a random, not that it's like a random love story, but like they really didn't take that anywhere. That's something they just left for the sequel, isn't it?
Yeah, because there was the whole thing of like him getting her her dream job in the in the department store kind of thing.
Liberty,
and, Liberty, and Horace is like, "What's the angle?" And Jasper's like, "There is no angle," because he just genuinely cares for Cruella. And there's a few bits where it's just like, there's that line where he's like. He's like, I would do. Oh, I've a really bad problem of like doing anything you tell me. And then when she's Cruella, she's just like, oh, that's one of my favorite things about you. And then she kind of realizes that how much that hurts him. And then she's like, oh no, fuck, it's only a character. It's only a bit.
They're having a very DMC on the roof of that building.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the different kind of take on the Horace and Jasper characters. I thought both those actors did really well. I really liked them.
Another person I just like, because I thought they were both great, but like. Nearly stealing the show, I think Emma Thompson is just such a fantastic villain. As in, it's just so peak good. Emma Thompson just being like doing her best The Devil Wears Prada, except like she'll kill people and harm them and won't care.
Yeah, she's so good, and she's not like she's exaggerated, but it all feels very grounded, and her performance is great, and everything she does is exactly what you'd expect that character to do. One character that I think I just didn't really understand their motivations, even though I liked the character, was Mark Strong.
The valet.
Yeah, they didn't make like, they were just like, anyway, I'm on the other team side now. Yes, it's fine. I will do everything to help you, like, shut down this Baroness, even though... Yeah. I don't know. He didn't know
that was
Cruella.
it was a bit strange, because, like, he's very much on the Baroness's side for a lot of it, and then, like, we have that whole hint that... Like, did you actually cop at any point that Cruella was, like, the Baroness's daughter?
Yeah, I kind of figured she was... Well, I kind of figured she was going to be because, there was the like why would they have gone to her, it kind of fits with that Disney thing. Not that I was like, oh, this is so obvious, but at the beginning when her mum goes to her, why would she go to her and ask her for money? Why would she talks about they make a reference to the black and white hair, her and Mark Strong, like kind of got an inkling, and then I was like, aha, excellent. Yeah, and when she said family heirloom about the necklace, I was like, oh, she's definitely like her daughter or her niece or something.
See, that was my thing. I thought it was going to be a case of like classic Disney of the Baroness, let's say, I don't know, who we think is Cruella's mom, is actually the wife of the Baron, but then let's say they divorce or something like that, and then she doesn't tell. I thought it'd be something where like the Baroness would be the evil stepmom, not the actual mom. So I don't know. So I was kind of guessing, but
I kind of like that though.
Yeah,
I think that they did that on purpose. That like she was the mom and her adoptive mom, or her maybe more traditional stepmom, was the nice one.
Yeah. So I like that it kind of tricked me like that. So, but I didn't know if Mark Strong was going to be the dad or something. Like I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah. I thought he might be her dad. I still think he might be. I still think it might maybe like that's something we'll discover. Because he had that really black hair in the flashbacks. Oh,
that's true.
And then he was bald because he's Mark Strong. So I wonder if that's like, he could be her dad.
Like, that's probably where some of the budget went, by the way. CGI Mark Strong hair. Or just wigs.
Oh my god, that makes so much sense. That's why we couldn't have a real dog.
Oh, the budget, by the way, was... It's very vague. It says somewhere between $100 to $200 million. So somewhere between the GDP of a small country or something like that.
Oh, makes me wow. How much money? It's not doing too badly at the box office, especially.
The last. Oh, I'll tell you now. So the last time I checked, i.e., when I did the notes, I think it had something like.
Because I know that you and David on the A Quiet Place podcast were talking about like how A Quiet Place is doing quite well. And it's making its money back. I wonder if all these kind of vague budgets are around the fact they're like, I don't know how much I spent on marketing pre and post COVID and during and what I lost. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Cruella didn't really have that much of a marketing campaign before COVID because there was no release date as far as I'm aware. Like it might have been for late summer or something. But I have here that the opening was 21 million, which is kind of on the lower side, and the total domestic gross is 64 million. But worldwide it's 159. Now, like that's not fantastic by Disney standards, but it's probably closer to, you know, the likes of, you know, the Mary Poppins remake and, you know, the Oz the Great and Powerful. So I don't think it would have ever gotten to the heights of, you know, Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, which made like $1 billion. But what probably didn't help was the fact that it also released on Disney Plus. So in Ireland you can pay 21 quid or 21.99 to get premium access to it, so you don't have to go to the cinema. So that probably didn't help, whereas A Quiet Place Part 2 wasn't available on streaming services.
Yeah. I wonder when you add up the total, like from what it's making from Disney Plus, it probably is making a lot of money overall. Like I'd say if you're a parent of like 3 kids, you're just like, watch this, don't bother me, especially this long into lockdown.
Yeah. Well, I reckon that, I think Gracie Allen said this, maybe that's where I'm stealing from. The fact that they did it for Raya and the Last Dragon and then they did it again for Cruella means that it worked, because they wouldn't have done, if they'd lost a significant amount of money on it, they wouldn't have tried it again. So they did it with Mulan, Raya and this. Now I think Black Widow isn't coming to exclusive access on Disney Plus, so we'll have a better idea. It's
gonna be they're doing it like more traditionally, so it'll be like Black Widow in cinemas for a large chunk without you being able to premiere access it. Then you'd be able to premiere access it on Disney before you could get it on like pay-per-view.
Okay, that makes sense.
On demand. I think that's what it's coming, like X amount, like 90 days after it's been in cinema or something. Is what I.
Okay, yeah.
But you're right, it won't be at the same time.
And actually, just another thing I saw when I was just looking at my production notes here is that this movie's been in development since 2013, and Stone was cast in 2016. So like, when you consider how much time, and it was filming in 2019, so like it's like a 6-year project, and so, but like it just goes to show that like Emma Stone obviously like loved the script and loved, like I love when an actor just like signs on to something. It's like, I'm a big fan of this, so I want to just like be a part of it as much as I can, as much as possible. And I think that tells in her performance, because she just looks like she's having a fantastic time throughout.
Yeah, she really does. I really liked her performance. I was a bit iffy on her accent in the start, but I really, really liked her performance. Another person's performance who I liked, who we haven't actually talked about yet, is her friend Artie, who owns the... or Art, isn't he? His name's actually Art, because he's a work of art. Yes. Who owns the vintage store and like helps her with all her designs. Because that's your man, John McCree, who's in... Everybody's Talking About Jamie.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like an excellent year to be John McCree. I don't know how to pronounce it because I've only ever read it. Because that's like, he was the star of that musical for ages. Then they did, he hasn't done a lot of TV or anything. He just did a recording of the musical. And now he's in Cruella, and he's going to be in the movie adaptation of the musical.
Oh, so, cool.
Having a great year.
I have to hear that Artie is the first original character in a live action Disney film to be openly gay. So there you go.
Still,
no, it's not enough.
Yeah,
but it's
not like they don't explicitly say it or anything. They're just like, we thought you'd all presume, and you're just like, guys. But yes,
I think I saw. He said something like, "Oh, you get funny looks walking down the street, being like a guy like this." There's something. So when they say openly gay, it's very reference. Much like, it's the same way. Yeah. Well, what was the first one? They said the first one was. They never said it, but it was strongly suggested that, what's his name? Beauty and the Beast guy. Not Gaston, his friend. Something?
No, they always joke about how the first one is actually some random guy in Avengers Endgame who's in the support group.
Director.
And he's like, I've lost my husband. Yeah. And they're like, that doesn't even count. Never seen again. Yeah.
But yeah,
and
so
then the next one is going to be your man, but he's played by Jack Whitehall, and everyone's not happy about that.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. But yeah, I thought he's someone actually I'd love to come back to do the sequel, because I think he could have been a bigger part of this, and that so the way they're kind of introduced is that Cruella goes into this like vintage store, and like they're both like, you know, talking about dresses and outfits, and they both know which kind of season they're from which like top designers, and then she kind of enlists him to help make a load of the clothes for her fashion line that she's using to compete against the Baroness's fashion line. And it's kind of awful, but not awful, but you kind of just don't really see them collaborate at all. I thought that would have been cool to kind of see her to be like the one to be like, oh, I have these mad ideas, and him to be like the one kind of making them, or at least kind of like we just know him as a background character. And it's so that what I kind of felt was that he just felt a bit out of place at the end, because she kind of only ever went to visit him once or twice. But yet the fact that he's at the end, with like nearly that Avengers moment when they're all there as a team, he's kind of like, oh no, like you were in it a bit, but you know from the story he plays a bigger part.
Yeah, that's true. He was definitely cut. I think there was probably scenes that were cut there.
He's probably being a bit too gay for Disney. They were like, no,
yeah, they were like, nope.
we can't have a man make a dress. What is this?
Yeah.
We'll have him wear eyeliner.
And that's as far as we will go.
He looks like David Bowie. He looks like David Bowie enough that we can get away with it.
Yeah. And then they're like, and then we can play both sides. We can be like, look at the character, but I mean, he's not too gay.
Yeah.
Classic Disney.
Actually, speaking of diversity as well, there's some race bending of Anita and Roger, who we know from like the original couple from 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah, I like those characters as well. They were nice, like little nods to the original 101 Dalmatians, kind of like getting their own little side origin stories. Because even in the Dalmatian movies, they're not the main characters. The main character is the dogs, the way it should be. There's so many dogs. There's always a dog that's the main character. But I like that. We even got a little nod to their dogs that they, Pongo and Perdita, that they got at the end. This was my point about how they are different dogs.
Yes.
10 years later, that a dog who is like, what would be, let's say, minimum 13 years old is not about to have puppies. So, I'd say that Baroness is just cycling at her dogs.
Well, see, this was the weird thing as well, because so Anita in this is like a journalist, and she went to school with Cruella or Stella when she was known as a kid. But what you call it, and then Roger is like the lawyer for the Baroness, and then Roger gets fired, and and then so I just didn't understand from the character point of view, because it's added in like a mid-credit scene as if like a sequel, but it's just like, why would Cruella, I understand her giving a dog to Anita, but why Roger? But then also you have to ask yourself then, is that how we know the dogs, like, from this universe, and that they're Cruella's dogs originally? But then also, Cruella's the one that named them? I just thought that was a bit of a strange...
Pongo and Perdita.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a very Cruella thing to do.
But that's why I think it's like a different Cruella, and they kind of like... So some of the stuff that Cruella's like famous for in the other movies is the like wanting to make the coat out of the Dalmatians and the real fur and all that, but in this one it's all just like a part of the act and the character of the designer and the kind of like guerrilla fashion marketing that she's doing, and it kind of like becomes an infamous story about her. So I think that like in the line of Maleficent, where the character is entirely different and stays good always, I think that if they make a sequel for Cruella, she will stay like that. There'll be like elements of her being misunderstood and other things, but she's not going to be the Cruella who's like, puppy coat.
Yeah, and I think it would have been very problematic. Not problematic. I just think if you were trying to make it a likable character in any way, it's hard to justify, dog coats. But I still think this movie did a good job of like, I could see her in 20 years just being a full-out villain, because she goes so close to that so often, and it's only Jasper that pulls her back. So what I would have liked for the sequel would be, imagine if Jasper just abandons her, or something, or like she goes too far one time and then Jasper leaves, and then that's when she kind of, not to say like we get the Cruella we want because a man didn't give like her the love and affection she needed, but it's less about love and affection and more about the connection, and he's like the heart and the soul of their group a little bit, and their family. So and that's why I thought, but see, this is the thing, and I think it's so important to remember that like she is a criminal. She breaks into like police stations and like kidnap, like breaks the guys out. She does pickpocketing. She is a villain, but the way this movie kind of does is because it presents such an extreme in the Baroness, it's kind of like, well, at least she's not as bad as her. Yeah,
but I mean, she's a criminal, but she's not a villain in this. So she has ways that maybe she could become a villain, and you can kind of see that's with the whole dog origin story. I'm kind of glad, because that origin story is so ridiculous about the dogs running her mother off the mountain, and then that like I'm kind of glad that she wasn't like, ooh, these dogs the whole time. She was clearly just like, this crazy woman, the Baroness, that I'm going to take my revenge on. You could kind of see how maybe in later on in life it might become a thing again, but like in this movie they were like, yes, this tragic incident, but it's about the woman that did the thing, the Baroness.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, speaking of the Baroness, I just think I really enjoyed the whole plot line of like initially, like, you know, Emma Stone's is like, oh, I need to get into fashion, and, you know, she's going into like this department store, and that was where I kind of realized where a lot of the money in this went, because you were just like, remember, you just see that whole tour of the department store and it goes under, and it's all one shot, but like that's still expensive to do. But
I think they must have done it. Did they not do it in Liberty?
But no, but that's what I'm getting at. It's like that would have been expensive to do, and what do you call it? The department store isn't in it. It's only in it for maybe the first 15-20 minutes, and then we don't see it again. So it's just like, I love that it really took its time to show like the lavishness of this kind of universe and fashion, and we get it a bit when we go to like the Baroness's like office. What would you call that?
Design studio?
Lair.
Yeah,
Design
lair.
studio.
Bat
cave. Moth cave, no less.
Moth cave. Butterfly moth cave.
Yeah, and I just really loved it, and like and some of the other stuff I was just reading about, the costumes and stuff like that as well. So the costume designer Jenny Bayvan, I don't know how to pronounce it, who the director hired after seeing her work on Mad Max Fury Road, apparently created 277 costumes for the principal cast, including 47 for Cruella.
Wow, that makes sense. She wears a lot of outfits.
And I think it was something like, so the costume designer as well later stated that her role on the film was to help Emma Stone's character appear as a younger 1970s portrayal of Close's 1990 role. So, like, I don't know, I get if they were trying to keep it the same universe, but that's apparently what the costume designer said. And then it goes, but also it says that another thing a difference between the Glenn Close one and the Emma Stone one is that Emma Stone wasn't allowed to be seen smoking in this movie because Disney banned it from 2007 onwards.
Wow, yeah, that makes sense. She wasn't, I know she wanted the cigarette holder stone, but she didn't get it. I think though that like you can be doing that in homage to say, couldn't get that word out. And like I think it's probably more like that and more like linking the stories. It's not like here is specifically the prequel for that movie. That's what it's not. Because I think you're right, there's so many, and especially if they don't take it like that, there's so many great things they can do with the second one. Like that kind of like the character of Jasper, like you said, it could be like, what if he like leaves, or if she takes it too far and stuff like that. Kind of stuff wouldn't allow for it to be the same universe. So I'm happy that they're not, and I would like them to like play on that. Yeah,
and there's other links as well to the like called small bits of trivia or small bits of like Easter eggs that link to the animated one as well. Mm-hmm. So one would be, you know, when Cruella like smashes into the jail cell to break out the guys, the horn she uses apparently is the same sound as the car horn for her car in the animated movie.
Yeah.
When Horace compares how dog owners look like their dogs, the same way Pongo did in the animated one from 1961. And then another thing was, I don't know, I wrote this one down because it's bullshit in my opinion. But you know when the principal is like putting like marks on her permanent record to say she's doing bad things, someone goes, this could be a reference to the Dalmatian spots. I'm just like, or it's just black marks which are like known to be a thing. And another thing as well is like, how can we not talk about executive producer Glenn Close as well?
Yay! I wanted a cameo.
So there's a scene where Cruella sends out like costumes to all these people attending the Baroness's party, and basically all the women dress up like in like Cruella outfits pretty much to allow her. It's so much effort for what it's worth, but it's basically
great set piece though. Great visual set piece for a movie.
Exactly. But how do you not just have, maybe she's in it, we just didn't notice, but how do you not have Glenn Close just there as like one of the party goers? Like that would have been a perfect place to put her in.
Would have been so good. Yeah, this, like, I just feel like we haven't talked enough about these kind of, like, fashion set pieces that this movie sets up. Like, so there's, like, this war ongoing between Cruella and the Baroness.
If David was here, if fashion expert David was on the podcast, it's all he'd be talking about. He'd be talking non-stop about it.
Mm-hmm. And he'd be making the proper design references and everything.
Exactly.
But yeah, so, like, there are these amazing design set pieces in this war between Cruella and the Baroness about who's going to be the coolest designer. diner where like Cruella keeps crashing all these kind of traditional events in different ways and these amazing kind of like punk style outfits. So you get this like unreal one where she like crashed an event on a motorcycle and it's like lit up everywhere with her name. And there's another one where she jumps out of a dumpster or gets dumped out of a dumpster truck, a garbage truck. And she's in this like stunning long dress made of all the Baroness's old dresses. And then like, oh, it's just so good. The party one though, like the first time we meet Cruella, when Estella decides to crash the party because they're trying to steal something from the Baroness. She arrives in this like white dress, drops the flame, boom, red dress, stunning, so good.
And that's
amazing.
Yeah, that's what that was my favorite stuff about this movie. All the crime stuff. So whether it be them pulling off, you know, heists at the beginning, like robbing different places, to how like the boys Jasper and Horace, who kind of were pickpockets originally, and then Cruella kind of joined the gang, and since then they've been working together. So I like that like they all had equal credit for like this chaos, but it made it so much better when Cruella was like, "Oh, this is all me," because then she looks at like Horace and Jasper and Artie, who are kind of like, "No, we're all doing this," and then Jasper has a few lines where he's just like, it's kind of funny because he's like, "No, we gotta do it. It's her dead mom." But it's just like she uses that dead mom card fucking a lot. That is worn out by the time. Horace, we just need to like you know break into like 3 more fashion events. I need to make 70 more dresses. You need to dress up as a version of me in drag, and then I'll be happy about my dead. I'll be over my dead mom.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, I think at the end though, like, there are those moments at the end where it's showing her not going too far and her, like, reining it back into more the crime level they're comfortable with of, like, bit of trickery to kind of set up their new life. And yeah, she kind of gives in to her the personality parts of her that she's been, like, suppressing and is Cruella. Because I just think she stops kind of giving a shit, you know? Like, she's just like...
I think she just has much like the Joker, I think she's just had a bad day. And it just went from there.
I don't know, like, in the Joker, like, it's definitely much more like he has mental health issues when he's on medication and seeing a therapist. I don't even know if this one... I can't tell if they're going to lean into that, if that's what they're doing or not, or if they're just like, no, this is just who she is, and she just decides to be a rebel. And that's what the guys don't like about her, is when she stops being... Sorry to get like way too dramatic. She stops using like what women would have had to do. She stops being nice and she stops like presenting as nice and kind, and she's just like, no, I'm gonna take no bullshit and I'm gonna like go for it.
Hold on. The first time we meet Cruella, she literally has a fucking walking cane or a cane and smashes the table and like just like, you remember like Horace eating his breakfast and clears off the and like there's not being nice and then there's ruining someone's cereal. Like
that's true. Okay, fair. But then sorry, the Cruella that she is at the end. So there's like, for the listener, she's like Estella, she's super nice. She takes it too far being Cruella, trying to get this revenge, and she gets very caught up in the persona and the revenge. Yeah. But then towards the end, it kind of balances out, and she's more of like her true self without the like being like playing nice kind of side work. Because she's always playing the Estella character is always super nice. She's saying thank you and sorry all the time to the Baroness. And she's like, you don't need to do that. The Cruella in the end is like a mix of the two of them.
Yeah, because so at the beginning we see that weird bit where she's like, her stepmom is being like, be Estella, not Cruella, and that's why I didn't know if the mental health stuff would come in there, maybe because she's just like something like that, and then she. Yeah, I think it's Disney. They're not going to go too deep with this.
I mean, but it's then, like, classic regular media portrayal of mental health if it is, and if not, I don't know. I think maybe it could be just a like eschewing traditional gender roles at the end there. But I think we need a sequel for them to expand on this more, and I hope they don't make a mess of it.
Absolutely, yeah. And what I loved about because she makes a promise to her mom she's not going to act up anymore, and then her mom dies, so then she's like, okay, cool, I just got to not act up anymore, because the last time I did that my mother died, because at that point she thinks her mom dying was her fault because the dogs were chasing her, so she thought the dogs continued to knock the mother off the cliff. My other point about this is, I reckon the fact that the Baroness has used that to try and kill 2 people, I guarantee you that they are not the only 2 people the Baroness has tried to kill. So I think that although you were like, that's unlikely she's got killed by the dogs doing that, I bet you the Baroness trained those dogs to do that. So I'd say it's a fairly routine procedure for anyone she doesn't like.
Yeah, but I think also that's what makes me happier that they're like, I feel like they're new dogs by the end of the movie, because spoiler alert in the spoiler section, she keeps them at the end. They become her dogs because they lived with her and she trained them, and that's how she like foils the Baroness's plan in the end, is that the dogs know her and respect her. And quite like her a little bit more than the Baroness, who's just really mean.
They got to watch some Tottenham Hotspurs games. Of course they're big fans, you know.
It's how they bonded.
The Baroness is probably an Arsenal fan, and they were like, boo, that's why they were so angry all the time.
I think it's weird if she keeps the dogs that killed her mother, but that's why I'm going with, it's like, they're new dogs. They're completely new dogs since then. They just happen to also be large, vicious Dalmatians. Dalmatians are vicious though, so this does make sense.
Okay, I did not know that.
They're because they're really inbred.
Stay away from all dogs, children. You heard it from Lili. But another thing I want to talk about just very quickly about Estella being quite, just, you know, please and thank you. Just that the guy who plays the store clerk, Jared, do you remember him? Like, he was one of the best. I just loved, he was such a, like, snobby, snooty. He's such a good villain because he's not doing anything too, like, evil. He's just being a dick. And he's like, clean my office and stay late, and what are you doing? Why do you look like that?
Won't listen to her, won't listen to her.
Not now. And that goes back to like, but like, that's Estella.
You know who that is, right? The actor?
Don't tell me. It's I know, it's Jamie something.
Yeah, Jamie Dimitri, Statlet's Flats.
Who?
You know Statlet's Flats? He's in Fleabag as well. He's the rat-faced guy in Fleabag. He's in Paddington Bear 2.
Oh, he's your man. I know from, yes, I know him from Fleabag. He's fantastic in that. Oh, yes. Yeah. He's a great actor. I loved him.
He's great, and he does one of those, like, it's called Statlet's Flats. It's one of those, like, Channel 4 shows where he, like, plays a really bad estate agent and, like, hidden camera kind of stuff. It's quite good. He's very funny.
Yeah, no, he's great. So I was just looking at my list of characters, and I realized I hadn't mentioned him.
Very versatile actor when you think about, like, the character in Cruella in Fleabag. He's one of the criminals in Paddington 2 in the jail, a movie we must cover for the podcast.
The greatest movie of all time, according to me, or I think it's changed now, but it's one of the greatest movies of all time.
Beats Citizen Kane. A movie we must cover for the podcast, Gary. I would do Citizen both Paddingtons. No, I would do both Paddingtons as a double feature, one podcast episode.
I am no longer doing double or triple features of anything ever again.
Well, we can watch them on separate days, and then we can double podcast them.
Maybe I'll see how I feel. I'll see if I like Paddington. I'll see if I like Paddington 1 before I commit to that.
Oh, they're brilliant. They're so good.
But you know what else is pretty good? The movie we're talking about, Cruella.
Oh yeah,
before I get too much on a tangent.
Jesus
the only
Christ,
thing
Cruella.
The last thing I just wanted to kind of mention on that sort of transition to Cruella, which was that I think one of the good subtle things in that, like, she's always kind of seeking approval, and then she realizes she doesn't need approval, but she kind of gets it anyway. When, you know, we don't know when the Baroness is lying to her at the end, when she's just like, you know, oh, I'm here, I'm sorry, give me a hug, because she thinks because the Baroness wants to try and kill her. But one of my favorite, I don't know if it's a subtle detail, I just noticed it and I enjoyed it, which was the Baroness was like always cheersing herself when she was always taking credit for everything, and they go to dinner and she's like, cheers to me, and Estella's like, hold on, it was my idea, my idea, what are you doing? And she's like, oh no, why would I toast someone else? Toast me. But at that event at the end, when everyone's dressed as Cruella, and then it's framed as if like a celebration for Cruella, the Baroness has to be like, cheers to Cruella, because all of the people are there, and it's just like, oh, so the Baroness finally actually had to cheers or toast someone else. And I really love that for the character. But I want to see her come back for the sequel. I want because she didn't die, and that's very rare for a Disney movie for the villain not to die. And she says like, I'll get my revenge on you.
And the whole thing, like, it's just fully spoiled the ending, because we're in the spoiler section. They're like, the whole thing where she's like,
Lili.
Yes,
are you not spooked and scared? We are currently in the spooky scary spoiler section. If they're here, they are no longer scared of spooky scary spoilers. So don't be spooked or scared about spoilers that are spooky and scary.
I have the spookiest, scariest spoiler. It's going to give you the heebie-jeebies. Oh no.
Can I have some spooky music for this, Gary? Thank you.
That she fakes her own death. Like, the Baroness pushes Estella off the thing, and Estella's wearing a parachute skirt, because, you know, and fashion. And then Cruella arrives as the second character, because no one knew they were the same person. She was playing two people, and she's like, oh, Estella left her fortune to me, Cruella, and I get to live as Cruella, because Estella's entitled to Baroness's fortune or something. And then, and then they, like, have a burial for Estella and everything. Spooky, scary spoilers, Gary. So spooky. But her outfit, Cruella's outfit at that grave scene and the end scene is
you gotta dress well for your own funeral, I say.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, just all her outfits, like, they're just so good. The pointed shoulder kind of look she goes for towards the end, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I can't pick a favourite.
Right, well, okay, well, before we finish this up, I've just 2 quick bits of trivia before I let them go. One which being, do you remember that scene where they're in they're in a hotel room and they're robbing some guy and there's a TV with some woman laughing on it?
Yeah.
Do you remember? So that is the Alfred Hitchcock movie Lifeboat, and the actress shows Tallulah Bankhead, who was the real-life inspiration for Cruella de Vil, although originally voiced by Betty Lou Gerson.
Cool. So I love a little Easter egg.
But this was, I thought, was quite interesting as well. So Cruella's an English character, but has actually never been played by an English actress. She was played by Glenn Close, obviously, but also played by Victoria Smurfett, who played her in Once Upon a Time. She's Irish. And then Michelle Gomez, who voiced her for 101 Dalmatians as well. And she's Scottish.
These foreigners taking all the British people's jobs. It's what they deserve.
I think we're not weird. Jesus Christ, Gary, where are we? 1916. It's more like how many British actors? Well, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But the other way, all the British actors go over to America now and doing all these flawless American accents and taking their jobs. It's revenge, I say. Anyway, doesn't matter. Right, Lili. Before we wrap this up, I just want you to roughly kind of. I just wanted you to see, ask, what would your ideal Cruella sequel be then, if they do one? They might not, and then if they do, they can listen to this and then we can get executive directing credits, and then we can go to executive directing brunch with Glenn Close.
Oh, brilliant. I've always wanted to go to executive directing brunch with Glenn Close. No other brunch with Glenn Close will do. Yeah. My sequel hopes. Okay, so the bits I didn't like about this movie were that I felt like it fell short on some of the heart bits of the movie. So the relationship between her and Jasper, whatever way they decide to establish it, they didn't fully establish it. And there could have been I didn't understand Mark Strong's motivations. I'd like them to expand on that in the sequel. Both of those things. I would like to see either, I don't know if you know much about musicals, Gary, but I don't know if it's going to take a Wicked approach where it's just here is how all the bad things are that we know about her. Here's them happening from her point of view, and it's actually all just about perception and not actually about her being super bad. Or if they're going to just make her be super bad. I don't know. I could see it going either way, and I would be interested to see either sequel. Yeah, once they do a good job. I
want to see Baroness breaks out of prison or something, or just has to do something from prison. I want to see a big heist. I want to see it all build into a big heist. I want to see heist. I want to see Cruella set up her fashion brand and how that goes. Maybe see a bigger part for Artie. Maybe see where Anita and Roger kind of fall into that as well. But yeah, this is a movie. I hope there is a sequel to it, because I think that all these actors not deserve another chance. I just mean it'd be great to see them do more with the characters, because they have to do so much to try and define it for themselves, because when certain characters have been played by people before, like Horace and Jasper and Cruella and Anita and Roger, you kind of need to do something a bit different to try and make it stand out a bit more, and just to be able to sit in that and just kind of run with it for the second one, I think would be great to see.
Yeah, we want more heists, we want more hijinks, we want more dogs, at least 101 of them.
Hotspurs, more Tottenham Hotspurs, keep the H theme going.
Look, and you know what else we want? We want head writer Glenn Close.
Head writer Glenn Close.
Head writer Glenn Close. Executive producers Gary O'Brien and Lili Nolan.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, that seems right.
They're my actual wants for the sequel.
And I'd say that's the one for everyone listening. Whom I need to say thank you very much for listening to this one. If there's any movies coming out, ladies and gentlemen, that you're hey, I want to hear a podcast episode on that, let me know. Chances are we're going to see it anyway, unless it's particularly bad or on at an awkward time.
Honestly, that's my biggest struggle with the cinema. The times.
Exactly. But yeah, thanks for listening. Lili, thank you so much for coming and doing the podcast. First new movie of 2021 podcast. Yeah,
first new movie of 2021 podcast. I was this is not my first movie podcast of 2021, but first new movie podcast. We're back. New movies.
We're
Black
back.
Widow. Fast and Furious 9 that I won't even go see, but I'll do the podcast on. It'll be fine. I'll watch the rest of them.
I'd say, watch number 1 to 8 and then just try and approximate what you think the plot is for F9.
That should be if you and David do F9, I want a guest appearance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking
What else
head.
then? Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I want to say that, yeah, again, thanks Lili, thanks people listening to this. If you want to know when new ones are coming out, follow on Spotify or Apple. There's Instagram at Reeling in the Piers. Yeah, and where you can hear little snippets of things before they go up.
At Reading in the Piers on Instagram for exclusive content and maybe movie reviews, and maybe we'll like you a little bit more if you do.
Absolutely,
Maybe.
I agree with that. And if you don't, you hate dogs and hate Tottenham Hotspurs, and we will never forgive you.
How could you hate my dog? I feel like Gary, can Buddy be a picture? Can Buddy feature in like
Not
a
in the
slideshow
goddamn,
for this
not
podcast
in a
on
goddamn
Instagram, please?
slightest. Nope,
Please.
not a chance. Not a chance.
Oh,
Right,
Tottenham
we better
Hotspurs
leave-
are going to feature.
Oh, I'll do a big Tottenham Hotspurs logo in this. Absolutely. Right, okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. We really hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.